Hello and welcome to Lamplighter. Today is August 3. Today in our daily Bible reading, we continue to read about all the unrest that's going on in Judah. We have had a brief interlude from the prophecies of Jeremiah in yesterday's reading, where we start to read about some wonderful things that are happening in Judah through a brief period of spiritual renewal. We're seeing King Josiah, who has found this book of the law and has read this book of the law, trying to make things right, going throughout the land with some sweeping reforms, trying to make things right with God. But we saw at the end of yesterday's reading that even though Josiah accomplished some wonderful things, it's like a little bit too late. Too little too late, we might sometimes say. In the meantime, what's happening historically is that Assyria and Babylonia and Egypt are all kind of vying against one another for power. Now, Egypt is in the south, below Judah. Assyria and Babylonia are in the north, above Judah. And we're going to see Necho, the Pharaoh of Egypt at this time, coming into Judah and using some power there and wielding that power in order to get his way, because he kind of wants to set up Judah as a buffer between himself and the invading armies in the north of Assyria and Babylonia. But we're already starting to see some of the prophecies we've been reading over the last several weeks coming true. Remember the prophecy of Nahum against Nineveh. Even though God had relented from destroying Nineveh during the time of the prophet Jonah, some 150 years or so passes, Nineveh is back to its old ways. We saw that Nahum's entire prophecy was against them, how God was coming in destruction, and those kinds of things are now starting to happen. Remember, Nineveh is the capital city of Assyria, and we're going to see Assyria begin to fall while Babylonia emerges. Now, in today's reading, when we start into the text, we're going to see the end of Josiah's life. Now, Josiah has been a great king, but it's kind of an unusual story here. We don't have a lot of information, but it seems like an odd place for Josiah to be. It's as though there is a battle that takes place that he himself has initiated. It almost feels like Josiah is stirring up a problem where there wasn't already one. Everything was going along pretty well, but Josiah creates this battle in which he's killed. Let's read some of the highlights here. After all this, when Josiah had set the temple in order, Necho, king of Egypt, went up to fight at Carchemish on the Euphrates, and Josiah marched out to meet him in battle. But Necho sent messengers to him, saying, "What quarrel is there between you and me, O king of Judah? It is not you I am attacking at this time, but the house with which I am at war. God has told me to hurry, to stop opposing God who is with me, or he will destroy you." Josiah, however, would not turn away from him, but disguised himself to engage him in battle. Well, during this battle, we read that archers shot King Josiah, and he told his officers, "Take me away, I'm badly wounded." So they took him out of his chariot, put him in the other chariot he had, and brought him to Jerusalem, where he died. Again, it's kind of an unusual story. Josiah seems to be picking a fight where there wasn't one. Necho is saying, "This is not about you and me. You're fine. I'm going to war with someone else." And yet Josiah is killed in that battle. But remember God's promise to him in yesterday's reading. When destruction comes to Judah, Josiah will not see that with his own eyes. And so we see even that prophecy being fulfilled. With the death of Josiah, Jehoahaz, or otherwise known as Shallum, his son, becomes king in his place. Now, he is 23 years old when he becomes king, and we're told that he only reigns for 3 months. And you might ask, as I do, why just 3 months for a king? Well, when we read about his character, we see that he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as the ancient fathers had done that had caused all of this problem to start with. Meanwhile, after he becomes king, Necho, that Pharaoh in the south, has come into Judah. He takes Jehoahaz as a captive, and he sets up another son of Josiah, Jehoiakim, to be a king in his place. Now, Jehoiakim is 25 years old. He's actually going to reign for 11 years, but he's described as a puppet king because he's sort of what we might call today a yes man. Necho puts someone on the throne of Judah that he can control. That's exactly what he wants to happen, to make sure that Judah is not a force to be reckoned with, but Judah is kind of kept at bay because Necho, has a king on the throne that he can control. Meanwhile, Necho takes Jehoahaz to Egypt, and Jehoahaz is going to die there. Now, whenever we read the very bottom of the page on page 988, Jehoiakim is paying Pharaoh Necho the silver and gold he demanded. In order to do so, he taxes the land and exacts the silver and gold from the people of the land according to their assessments. So we see this taxation that is now happening on the people of Judah, and you can imagine how popular that makes Jehoiakim with his people. He is doing exactly what Necho wants him to do. He's taxing the people and paying tribute to Necho, and all of this is working beautifully for Necho. But then we read this prophecy about King Jehoahaz that had been, after 3 months of kingship, taken by Necho back to Egypt. This is what the Lord says about Shallum, which is the other name for Jehoahaz. This is what the Lord says about Shallum, son of Josiah, who succeeded his father as king of Judah, but has gone from this place. He will never return. He will die in the place where they've led him captive. He will not see this land again. And we read some prophecies from Jeremiah, once again here, saying that very same thing. Now, Jeremiah, we haven't heard from for a while because things are going well in Judah under the reign of Josiah. But when Josiah dies, things become a little bit disoriented again. Judah begins to decline back into sin once again. And so Jeremiah has a role to play as he continues to promise the people that God is coming with destruction through the hands of the Babylonians. And this message is not going to be popular with the people. Early in the reign of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, the word came from the Lord. This is what the Lord says. This is to Jeremiah. Stand in the courtyard of the Lord's house and speak to all the people in the towns of Judah who come to worship in the house of the Lord. Tell them everything I command you, God says. Do not omit a word. Perhaps, listen to this, even after all that's happened, God says, perhaps they will listen, and each will turn from his evil way. Then I will relent and not bring on them the disaster I was planning because of the evil they've done. Say to them, this is what the Lord says. If you do not listen to me and follow my law, which I've set before you, and if you do not listen to the words of my servants, the prophets, whom I have sent to you again and again, though you have not listened, then I will make this house like Shiloh, and this city an object of cursing among all the nations of the earth. It's amazing that God is still giving them yet another chance. But the people don't like what they're hearing from Jeremiah. Once again, the priests, who are supposed to be the ones who get it, they confront Jeremiah. They want to do something to destroy him and make him stop talking. And so they bring charges of Jeremiah before the officials, and Jeremiah makes this defense. Then Jeremiah said to all the officials and all the people, the Lord sent me to prophesy against this house and this city, all the things you've heard. Now reform your ways and your actions and obey the Lord your God. Then the Lord will relent and not bring the disaster he has pronounced against you. As for me, I'm in your hands. Do with me whatever you think is good and right. Be assured, however, that if you put me to death, you will bring the guilt of innocent blood on yourselves and on this city and those who live in it. For in truth, the Lord has sent me to you to speak these words in your hearing. There are even other people who stand up to defend Jeremiah as being a man of God. So ultimately, Jeremiah is released. But then we're told about Uriah, who is also prophesying similar things, and it is not such a good end for Uriah. He is ultimately killed. These are troublesome times for Judah because she is back to her wicked ways and punishment is coming. Once again, God is true to his word. Isn't it great to be a lamplighter? His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I hope you have a blessed day.